know if actually I'm on live or not. We shall soon see. Years ago, on a whim, when I had fewer responsibilities and more whee, I decided to backpack through Southeast Asia and have an adventure. The only item on the agenda was at the very end of the tour a visit with my friend JC when I finally landed in Taiwan. I have decided it is time to read my travel log, and I'm excited to revisit a journey of a mostly innocent, mostly doe-eyed, mostly closeted gay young man. I have not read through the whole of my experiences, the adventures, since I had them. And I have decided to live through those eyes and revisit the adventure once again. Here's a quick taste. When I was in Indonesia, this is like the tail end of my time there. It says June 1995. I'm in the middle of a bug out. Time to exit Indonesia, and my course is swift and random. Through a mishap and a fuck up, my watch stopped, and the alarm went off an hour early for Lombok. However, Bali time and Lombok time are not same, and I would have had to run down the street wet and naked to catch the bus to Jakarta. Luckily, this didn't happen, as I was blissfully oblivious to the late hour. At the bus station, I was irritated with the salesman, until I realized I was mistaken. And I said, "Put me on a bus to Java." And he did. And since then, I can only guess where I was on the island, and who knows where I am now. And that started my adventure to Taiwan. But I'm going to jump into the same trip from the beginning. And if you would like to join me, then please do. Page 1. A quote from my friend that I met along the way. His name is Stuart Mackenzie, and he's from Australia. I'm not going to try to read this with an Australian accent because that would be terrible. Not having to make the most of every opportunity can lead to not making the most of any. And a German tourist, when I was in Indonesia, a German tourist said, "A word is not a word in Indonesia." All right. Oh, and I also have a quote from Jack Kerouac. It's a little cliche, but Kerouac is a great thing to read just before an adventure like that. He wrote, "Because I had no dreams, the road opened up before me." March 14th, 1995, 9:59 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Laughlin. Blatant, unashamed consumerism is an aspect of American society, and this often overwhelming characteristic is being thrown at me in full force. It's spring break for the college crowd, and Susan, Mike, Carol, and Mike's friend Kim invited me to Laughlin, Nevada, for 3 days of whooping it up and jollity and hijinks. Let's see. I have been waiting for an extended leave from work with friends, and this trip is relaxing and appreciated. Unfortunately, here I don't feel any freedom with my money because every dollar overseas will become sacred to me. I can, and probably will, lose $20 to these games in the space of an hour. You know what that means? Fucking diabetes. Fuck you, diabetes. So join me, won't you, on an Asia trip that is worth. This is. I'm gonna chop out this. I'm gonna edit this live stream later. I'm gonna chop out this part. So if you're watching it now, you're one of the few. Um, oh, good. There's nobody watching. Thank heaven. Anyway, nice. If I'm gonna chop out this whole thing, then I can go ahead and jump right in. March 14th, 1995, 9:59 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is when you start over, John. Are you ready to start? I am ready to start. Let's see what this young man has to say. March 14th, 1995. Ooh, the 20th century. 9:59 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Laughlin, Nevada. Blatant, unashamed consumerism is an aspect of American society, and this often overwhelming characteristic is being thrown at me in full force. It is spring break for the college crowd, and Susan, Mike, Carol, and Mike's friend Kim invited me to Laughlin, Nevada for 3 days of whooping it up and jollity and hijinks. I have been waiting for an extended leave from work with friends, and this trip is relaxing and appreciated. Unfortunately, here I don't feel any freedom with my money because every dollar overseas will become sacred to me. I can and probably will lose $20 to these games in the next space of an hour. Then I will freak out a little because that $20 could have bought me up to 2 days in Asia. This trip is looming closer and closer. So while this trip is comforting on many levels, I am still excited, anxious, and frustrated. Excited and anxious for the trip. My frustration is more complex. Its origins and cure are hazy and elusive. It is important that I stress this fact. I am not getting everything I need. I know that. I stand a good chance of filling this space in my life by taking this trip. I don't know quite what it is I'm missing or what I'm looking for. And I know I could find it here in the States. Hell, I could find it here in Arizona, but it will be much easier in society that in a society that will shake me up. I don't wait. Oh, I don't want to change. I don't want to change in my core or my foundation, but I think, no, I know that some things must be damaged a little before they can get stronger. Misha agrees. It'll be easier to find what I want in Asia as opposed to here. Misha is a friend of mine with well traveled. Went to Russia, and I haven't spoken to him in decades. But he was a good man that helped me at that time. Misha has pulled me through a mud bog or two, and I have pulled him out of a fire or two, and I greatly respect his decisions. He not only supports this trip, he gave me my first rough itinerary. Taiwan, as a work destination, loomed tantalizingly close, and it was snatched away when the Economic and Cultural Council at their embassy severely limited my visa. Misha said that may have been a blessing in disguise. Now I have almost all of Asia at my extended reach. Talk about overwhelming. John, remember this day. Sitting 15 stories over the Colorado, shimmering below the seemingly perilous corner window. Perilous corner window perch. The river, hotels, and desert stretch away and reach out simultaneously. The irony of going out halfway around the world just to view the same from inches away, not stories, without the shiny glass to separate and protect me, is immediate and humorous. There is a more elusive irony in using this twinkling, glitzy city with a darker, pulsating underbelly as my final full American experience. We'll see how it compares. Now you'll have to excuse me. I have to step out from under this glass. Dream number one. Dad and I are standing over puppies that are a few weeks old. As they interact, it becomes obvious one puppy has trouble opening his mouth. He tells me that I have to kill it. Flash to me, standing over that puppy, realizing to kill, I would have to grind it up. The idea, the idea of killing it made me alarmed, as you might expect. I kept putting it off, and through my help or passing of time, the puppy was able to open its mouth very wide. I told Dad, and he said I didn't have to kill it anymore. So that dream had a good ending. What a good dream. I'm glad I wrote that down. March 16th, 1995, 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If I keep a regular schedule that is typical of today's, then the jet lag shouldn't be a big problem. I looked at the time not 10 minutes ago, and I rolled my eyes. Hey, even in the casino, it's time for bed. That's 4 a.m. Okay. Every time Tucson. Okay. Every time Tucson Kim wins again. She does. Oh, all right. Interesting. I think I'm going to cut that dream out. That was disturbing and unnecessary. That's my cutout. Cut out that dream. Do you hear me, John? Cut me out. Still no viewers. Thank heaven. March 16th, 1995, 4 a.m. If I keep a regular schedule that is typical of today's, then jet lag shouldn't be a big problem. I looked at the time, not 10 minutes ago, and rolled my eyes. Hey, even in the casinos, it's time for bed. Every time Tucson Kim wins, she does a victory dance. She's winning at roulette, and even as we speak. And speaking of winning, I won 2,500 nickels today. That's 125 American dollars. It was on a slot machine called Earthquake. Considering the name, it was a timid, almost shy creature. I hadn't spun the wheels 5 times before I hit the jackpot, and nothing happened. I looked around, confused, sure that lights should be going off, something. The game just sat there. So I noted the casino staff. I had to wait 15 minutes to be paid. Not that I was complaining. To the point, I've now paid for the mini vacation, and I have some left over for my necessary shots, gamma globulin, etc. This trip was great because 1, I got to see Mike and Susan, whom I dearly love, and 2, Carol and Kim are now more well-rounded characters in my memory, and I can appreciate them more. I was trying to pick up on this cute guy, blue, short, blonde, thin lips, warm smile. I'm sure that blue is probably the color of his shirt, not skin. But I am not obvious enough, and I may have had a self-defeating reflex of choosing straight men who to scout. Perhaps I am being hard on myself because it's 10 to 1, gambler's odds, that I can even hope to date him. Tonight we went to a lounge that played semi-hip music. The Tarzan at the Golden Nugget. They jammed alternative rock and roll and R&B, and we had a great time dancing and drinking. After selections from Green Day and Spin Doctors, I was whooped. Susan, glowing as usual, leaned over to me in the frenzied semi-darkness and told me how much she loved Mike and me. She is so sweet. Ken is stationed in Kuwait for 2 more months, and she still lives in the moment and tries to avoid regrets. Here's a big old lip-smacking smooch for you. Time to get some shut-eye for the drive home. Misha's partial list of what items to bring to Asia. Antifungal spray, shoe cushions, Ziplocs, large and small, knife, fork, spoon, plastic mug, bathing suit, 2 decks of cards, antibiotic ointment, suntan lotion, insect lotion, film, parentheses, lots of, goggles, parentheses, ocean swimming, calculator, parentheses, quick money calcs, copies of degrees, resume, and passport. I guess that's if I ever wish to teach English, I'm going to need a copy of my degrees. And the last thing is carnal knowledge of Brad. Oh, I don't think that ever worked out. Quick note. Stayed up till 5 a.m. on the morning before Misha and Mom threw the party for me. Spent $70 on products. More money than I can afford. But what else is new? Did I say I love you recently? Ever? And the next. Oh no. Some things are falling out of my thing. I got my Bali High. These are from the beers. I pulled these off of the Bali beers. That's nice. And I also have this Sam's plate and Kanchanaburi. Kanchanaburi, Thailand. Uh-oh. I'm giving away what's going to happen. 2:45 a.m., March 20th, 1995. A lot of special, memorable moments happened tonight. With my mother's help, Misha threw me a bon voyage party, and my many good friends and relatives came. When I arrived, Misha and Mike Rojas were already there. Misha was upset, /nervous, /anxious at first, cause unknown, but that soon wore off. JJ was one of the first to arrive, and even when he is not at his most reserved, it is hardly noticeable tether, because to good, quiet, conservative behavior. So, of course, as soon as he warmed to the guest, he was a hit. He grew predictably, endearingly misty-eyed when speaking of my approaching departure. Aw, JJ, you're so sweet. Scott and Mel were happy enough to be there, and I'm glad that they came. Joe made a huge card out of manila paper, handcrafted, impromptu, and great fun. Steph was happily at Joe's side. Who knows why their relationship doesn't come to a safe, happy close? We'll see. Kim and Dan showed up, and they brought my fresh crispy squares. Yum. Oh my God, I used to eat Rice Krispie squares all the time. And they're so easy. Do you ever just make them in the microwave? Just dump the butter and the marshmallows in the microwave and mix it up. It's like 5 minutes. And you got some Rice Krispie treats. Oh, I say 5 minutes. Only 2 minutes in the microwave. Then you dump it in, and then you mix it with the Rice Krispie treats and put them in the pan. Anyway. Rice Krispie treats. Oh, it's so easy to get distracted by those. I have an appreciation of their sacrifices. Kim, in a month-long hand cast. Dan, injured in a car accident, forced to sue, forced out of work. I was happy they showed up at all. Lord knows they can always use more sleep and downtime. It's so funny how many of these people are not together anymore. And these moments are just so quick and fleeting. And these were good times together. And even though these couples were not meant to be long lasting, several of these couples were not meant to be long lasting, it was still a wonderful time. And I'm glad that everybody showed up and supported me. That's what I think about the most when I think about this time. Mom was resplendent. Okay, I'll say that again. Mom was resplendent in her red silk with gold accents. She could always dress up. Oh, man. She played a great hostess, albeit for only part of the show. Her egg rolls livened things up. Egg rolls, because of my Asia trip. I was deliriously happy to find out that she had convinced Mimi and Grandpa to come down from Prescott. Aw, that's nice. They and Marguerite showed up, all smiles and best wishes. Wow. I wrote it right there. Wow. I was blown away. And this was exactly the kind of wondrous feeling I had wanted for the party. Oh, isn't that sweet? Sharon, I haven't seen Sharon in just probably multiple decades. This is a Sharon from Erin Anytown, blonde hair. I don't remember what her last name is, but very nice lady. Sharon behaved like she was always teasing and flirting. In her soft dress and buoyant face, she was magical this night. She also seemed a bit tipsy, but it didn't affect her ability to capture. Sandra from work, oh, I like her. Sandra from work stopped by, or should I say stumbled by. She and Greg were hiking, and she took a nasty fall. Strawberry marks, ooh, and a bit of blood. Still, she managed to charm everyone. Yeah, she was a charmer as well. And many, including Misha, told me how great she was, and I agree. And so does Jim, who thinks she's the cat's pajamas. Jim was Jim tonight. Jim is like the quintessential California guy, so just chipper and positive, optimistic. Um, he's an infectious smile. It says, Jim was Jim tonight, instantly shining when he enters his room. I want to make him laugh because it feels so good. He was trying on a trench coat of Misha's when I entered the living area of the apartment. Misha had someone shut the door for an undisclosed reason. Jim had apparently previously modeled the coat as a flasher might. With some encouragement, Jim took off most of his clothes and goaded a bit. I did too. We modeled the coats in an embarrassing sense of fashion. Although I was more covered up, it still tested my comfort levels. The crowning moment, I remember this. The crowning moment came when JJ, oblivious to the proceeding, opened the door, and as he entered, a greeting died in his mouth. The half naked people getting dressed was only half of his surprise as he turned and saw Misha with the camera. with the camera. They, they said the look on JJ's face was priceless. Misha and Mike were rolling. JJ hardly skipped a beat and immediately posed and dropped his pants. Oh, God. Thank you so much, JJ. Now that was tasteless and a riot. No, tactless. Okay. Dad made the rounds, and everyone got to appreciate what a wonderful guy he is. Amanda and Christine dropped by and greeted me and holed up in the kitchen. They enjoy each other's company so much that I had to nearly drag them outside so that they could mingle. Daphne brought Nora, and they both looked splendid in their new outfits. I met Daphne at a Unitown. Daphne shared some of her abundant goodness, and Nora happily did likewise. Brad and I had a great evening. That's the one Misha wants me to have carnal knowledge of. We were joking and talking and joking around. His eyes and smile were mesmerizing, and I made the suggestion of something more. Okay, what did I make the suggestion of? I made the suggestion of something more than just talk by extended glances all evening long. I don't know if I was successful. but at least I got to look at his handsome face. As he was leaving, Misha distracted the last guests so I could spend a few minutes with Brad. I leapt at the chance and divulged that I would like to see him again. He said he suspected that. He was positive in considering the possibility of a future after I return. Beyond that, I'm not sure what I saw, but I know how much I'd like to look closer. Rick showed up for about an hour after work. I was really glad to see him. It's Rick, my brother. It had obviously been a rough night for him, but he still came and was smiling. The best part of the night came when I walked Rick out. I wanted to give him a hug, but he turned on his heel and beat me to it. The hug lasted a goodly time and accentuated how much I care for him. He wished me well, and I told him I would be careful. And then something inane like, I said, "Have a good evening." And I immediately berated myself for unthinking superficiality. Unthinking superficiality. Before I could mark up the moment, Rick stopped on his way to his VW, turned, and quite deliberately said, "I love you, John." Then, a time of quiet that almost I held my breath, and I said simply and without emphasis, "I love you, Rick." It was without a doubt the best time of the night. Second runner-up, seeing Mimi and Grandpa, my grandparents. Third, talking to a sick Laura Lee Stinson. Oh, Laura. I thanked Misha for throwing me the shindig. No one except Mom and Dad ever went out of their way to do something like this. He wouldn't accept any more than the barest thanks. Now please excuse me. The party will yet continue. John. P.S. Misha. Misha almost made a bet that I would fly home if he could get Marguerite to come play poker at the occasional meet. I would get the kick out of the image of her acting a little wild with the cards. Oh, Marguerite. Right. March 22nd, 1995. Ooh, it looks like I'm going to be on my trip. I'm starting my trip, March 22nd. It didn't hit me until I was sitting in this plane. I'm just 30. Please, God, let me be. Short years. Oh, in just 30. Okay. I'm going to break right here. Break. That's my edit point. And now the trip begins. March 22nd, 1995, 5:14 p.m. It didn't hit me until I was sitting in this plane. In just 30, please God, let them be short hours, I will be strutting around Bangkok Airport without a domestic care in sight. Except, of course, the heavy task of living up to the international expectations set upon the American tourist. How will I ever learn to unthinkingly tread over the social mores of a civilization far too complex for me to understand? Oh dear. I'm going to have to revisit that sentence. Part 2. Stop. There's another break. The beginning of the trip. March 22nd, 1995. The trip begins. 5:14 p.m. I'm on the plane. It didn't hit me until I was sitting in this plane. In just 30, please God, let them be short hours, I'll be sitting around the Bangkok airport without a domestic care in sight. Except, of course, the heavy task of living up to the international expectations set upon the American tourist. Yes, I did have a lot of expectations of myself back then. Because I don't know, you just got to live up to it. You can't just go there and sit in a hotel and stare out the window. You got to go, go, go. How will I ever learn to unthinkingly tread over the social mores of a civilization far too complex for me to understand? How will I ever learn to tread on those expectations? Or will I manage to not give a shit? The only hope I can do is embarrass us all. The only hope I can, or the only hope is I can embarrass us all and retain our stature in the average foreigner's eyes. Yeah, I was afraid of being an embarrassing American. That's for sure. Dad drove me to the airport. This after days of little sleep, daydreaming, and haphazard organization. I alternately talked with Dad and drifted off to sleep. And before I knew it, we were walking through the parking lot and terminals. Mom showed up for a series of hugs and well wishes, and Dad had just one long hug. We stepped apart for the requisite once over to let the eyes capture the scene. I turned away too quickly, but snuck a peek at them after they started talking together. They weren't together, so when I saw them chatting, it was a nice moment. I was just stepping on board the aircraft when I heard my name called, and it was one of those rare times they meant me. Hurrying back up the hall, I saw Misha waiting. He almost seemed sheepish to even have been shown up, or to even have shown up. A second surprise came when the ticket taker hawked at me to stay back because I had already been counted. After a moment, Misha inched forward, under her watchful demeanor, and he grinned. We hugged for what seemed like a long and quiet time. This was pre 9/11, so you could just still walk up to the gate. Anybody could just walk up to the gate. When we separated, Misha made small talk with the same woman, and even as we chit-chatted, his recurrent gaze fell upon my face. I stared him down, and we both smiled. He said, "You'll do great," with an implied exclamation point. From his mouth to my ears, "This is me," and I made a little droopy eyes, a little expression of my droopy-eyed face. Probably because I was so damn tired. So tired, and I hadn't even left yet. Note the droopy eyes, the doopy eyes, and well-intentioned smile. March 22nd, 1995, 7:24 p.m. I still haven't told you about my dinner with Brad. I called him to cash his rain check for the coffee. I upped the ante to dinner, and I decided on Durant's because I didn't know where else. To be honest, it didn't matter that much. The meal was expensive. I am exceedingly cheap now that I'm thinking in dollars per day, but just to sit with Brad for a while and talk, it was worth it. That sounds scary to me. I don't fall for people. It's not in my disposition. Okay, there was Scott. Oh my God. Scott was the guy that I worked with, and his blue eyes. Oh my God. I can't even talk about that. But that was a fluke. That was a fluke. He was gorgeous. All right. Brad is too. I'm making light of the whole thing. Now, in truth, he's a very special person, Brad. And if we continue being friends, I will be satisfied. Spending dinner together, my senses are heightened because I have a tiny, tiny crush on Brad. It's the first time I said that. It's also great fun thinking about it. Brad suspects the extent of my interest, so I don't want to scare him off, but so I downplay it, and I did, however, confront him a bit. Rather, I revealed to him that I wanted to get physical before I left. I wanted to get physical. Whew. Now, it was uncomfortable all around. The time constraint of my trip and the suggestion of affection so early in a friendship and his budding coming out process all add to our mutual discomfort. Now, admittedly, more his discomfort than mine. But I'm so goody two shoes that I can't unleash myself to unbridled passion because I keep thinking of a tender, sweet relationship we might have built in place of that roll in the hay. However, although passion of that caliber will send my heart into palpitations and might just do that greenhorn in. Yeah, I don't want to. If somebody's just coming out, I don't want to be the guy that kind of like shoves them farther along that they want to go. But at the same time, I wouldn't hold myself back if they wanted to. So, more so I do because I am married. And the relationship I have right now is more important than a roll in the hay, the getting physical. Listen to this guy. The words that he uses are so embarrassing, and he's sweet though. I hope I don't have a crush on him because I feel so lost in this life sometimes that I'm just compensating for my rocky emotional state, or worse, I'm so weak in the head that I'm just ripe for puppy love. Luckily, the signs of the crush point away from my possible problems, and now that's out of the way. I love his eyes, bright and sharp. His smile is so warming. I wish I had brought a picture. I hope I don't moon after him this whole time. I hope we have a chance when I get back. I hope he is more comfortable with me himself, and I hope he, A, doesn't hold my hormones against me, and B, thinks I am staggeringly handsome. I hope I get to kiss him and glide through his gaze, nourished by his smile. Oh man, I was falling hard. There now. I think, is just the trip talking. My random seating companion on the plane from LA to Hawaii is a lovely American Korean girl named of Uni. She is visiting relatives during a break at school. More than tolerant, she seems to enjoy my company. Our in-flight meal came. Yummy. Yeah, Korean Air. Maybe they've changed, but I highly recommend Korean Air. A mini salad, mini roll, mini mineral water, and a medium-sized beef with rice. Very Korean, Uni says. She listens to Christian rock. I like the last two sentences. It seems like something a kid would write. And Dad gave me a tape. Says, thank you, Dad. I'm halfway through the tape. So yeah, Dad probably made me a tape of 70s and 60s music. He and I have some musical tastes in common. I'm going to stop for now. March 23rd, 1995 is where I'll pick up again. And, oh gosh, the 30-hour trip. It's too long. It's not going to be 30 hours me reading that to you. But some things happened along the way before I even set foot in Thailand. So we'll talk to you then. Thank you so much.